Welcome to the Get Back, music work talk in Central Texas, Fridays at 1 p.m. Brought to you by the Austin Federation of Musicians and with the Unemployment Compensation Advisory Committee. The Unemployment Compensation Advisory Committee are members of the Austin Federation of Musicians, Local 433 of the American Federation of Musicians, aka the Musicians Union. Some of us work as contractor 1099 workers, and others work as employee W-2 workers in various aspects of the music industry.
The goal of this session is to share our experiences, including trials and tribulations related to the Texas Workforce Commission, or TWC, with other musicians in the state of Texas to aid in navigating the TWC application process. We are not experts in unemployment assistance. We are musicians.
The information contained herein does not constitute either legal advice or an official pronouncement or a position of the Austin Federation of Musicians, but rather is only the personal opinions of the panelists. The panelists do not give legal advice or make official rulings on agency matters, should not be cited as authorities in any matter before the agency or when dealing with agency staff about a case, and must minimize their involvement with administrative processes. They also do not give legal advice on any other matter, and any information they should give should not be used as a basis for taking any employment-related action. Before taking any employment action that could adversely affect an employee, or before using any sample form or policy you may obtain from this group, you should consult a licensed, private sector, employment law attorney of your choice. All right, welcome to the Get Back, or welcome back to the Get Back. It's been a while since we've seen everybody. Aaron, Mark, and Russell are here as well. We've been off for a while, but we're back. It's gotten busier and busier for musicians, which is very encouraging. I guess we always used to start with the links at the bottom of the screen. That's where you can find the links to the local union office and other music recovery things, economic recovery and everything. And we always started with drinks. I'm drinking coffee as well. You guys drinking anything over there? Oh, I think you're
Just
still...
Good old green tea for me.
Yeah, I think you're muted, Russell.
Bring water.
Oh, there you go.
My second one today. I'm staying hydrated.
Yeah, you lose it fast when it's this hot. I guess that's
Boy, you do.
That's been the big news the last month has been the temperatures down here. But some of us have been lucky to escape that for a little bit. But yeah, man. Gosh. Well, we got. I mean, obviously, a lot of news has piled up since the last time we've gotten together. What do y'all think? I've got some federation news. I've got some labor movement news, and I've got some local news. Where do you think we should start?
Local news.
Oh, you spoke at the same time. What'd you say?
He said local news, and I said, yeah, us first.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. So we got locally in the Statesman here. There's a article about the new the CHIPS legislation that got passed in the national government. What was that, yesterday, I think? The Austin area expects a boost from that because of the new Samsung plant, as well as other chip makers. And that could help us because, when new businesses move into town, they hire us for events and things like that, or at least they should. Although, the tech industry has always kind of been a little bit more washy than other businesses as far as like hiring music and supporting the arts and things like that. But maybe this will help. I don't know. What do you guys think? What's your experience with that?
I'm still waiting for Tesla to do something.
Who's that?
Just take up space. Tesla?
Oh, Tesla. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, they had that big grand opening thing. I don't think there were any musicians involved with that.
I didn't see the big windfall that he promised.
Mm-hmm.
So he's working. It is coming, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. Man. What about you, Mark?
My experience is that, the benefit to the music community is sketchy. when those things happen. You know, I mean, maybe a few of the party bands get some extra work, but I don't know that most musicians benefit that directly from that kind of economic stimulus.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
No, I don't think you are. Yeah, and I mean, I just bring it up because it's in the news. No one has actually said there'll be a benefit to musicians, but I think I think it's implied. You know, just with our live music capital status or whatever. So
Yeah, just the fact that, you're hoping that those new people who want to go out, want to be out of the house.
and have money to spend.
Yeah, it's not just our normal crowd who's said, seen those guys before or scared of COVID or whatever the excuse is. You have influx of new people, especially if they're coming from California. I know they want to go out.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a great point, man. You know, the reduction of just Americans' disposable income overall has been affecting our business for the last 40, 50 years or something like that. So anytime there's a new employer, a better employer in town for just regular folks that go out, will hopefully help us. But like Mark says, we'll believe it when we see it, right?
Right.
All right. The other news is the Austin Council. This is talking about the city council. The headline reads: Austin Council moves to put $350 million housing bond on November ballot. So that just gets to our usual point of vote, because that'll be on the ballot in November also. But there will be lots of other interesting things on the ballot that we've been talking about too. But
You have to watch because they'll slash stuff in.
yeah, man. So, yeah. You guys hear anything about this? The housing bond? Yeah, it says it's a full $100 million higher than the city's 2018 housing bond, and it's to provide affordable housing. Again, I don't know. Those things are kind of dubious too, because a lot of times they seem to not provide affordable housing. So we gotta.
Or they don't get used.
Oh, they don't get used. Yeah.
They don't get used up. Yeah.
Or they get misused. Where
Hmm.
the investors, hide a couple affordable units in the back of their, giant condo complex and don't tell anybody about them. So
Well, but I mean, at least they're somewhat paying attention to the problem. I mean, it's been a
Mhm.
problem for a long time.
absolutely,
Certainly gotten worse over the last 4 or 5 years. So,
especially for us.
yeah, I mean, I would hope that they would address the issues both with money and with some creative solutions to, getting the homeless people off the street and being able, for people to be able to continue to live in Austin, because it just gets more and more and more expensive here every week, every month.
Oh yeah. No, and the more expensive it gets, I mean, we're
Right.
creating, we're creating homeless people in Austin.
Yeah.
Because they can't afford to stay in their houses. So, yeah, man. I think Russell's getting after Red there, his dog. Let me see. I think I can mute him.
R for red.
Yeah. There we go. We'll let him take care of that. Yeah, man. But but just another reason to make sure you get to the polls in November with a valid driver's license. That's a really important issue. You gotta have a non-expired driver's license or passport, I think, right? Or is it just the driver's license? And you got to have the, your registration has to be current as well. So, yeah. What were you saying, Russell? I'd have you on mute. Oh, I think you're muted, Russell.
Make my own art. Nobody here.
There you go. What'd you say?
Passports will work, but you need to check your driver's license to make sure that you're not at the expiration date, because the paper driver's license won't count there.
Hmm.
You'll have to bring a separate form of ID.
Oh, geez. There you go.
I know, because it just happened to me.
Yeah? Oh, man. There you go, man. Yeah. Yep. Well, yeah, same thing with me. My driver's license is about to expire, and so yeah, I have to get it done before the election because otherwise I won't be able to vote. Yeah.
What they want.
What was that?
I said that's what they want.
Oh yeah, yeah. As we have observed on this show, right on. The last piece of local news I had on our docket here is also from the Statesman. TxDOT's 10-year plan calls for spending $7.3 billion on Austin area roads. It just kind of talks about how that'll affect the Austin area, and of course that affects us because we're driving all kinds of places with equipment and everything else. A lot of times, especially in the rhythm section, we can't use public transportation because we've got to bring stuff. We got we got to bring a big refrigerator bass amp with us, or a set of drums, or a piano, or something like that. Yeah, so that could affect us. There's something actually coming up. I think, is it next week, where northbound I-35 and the 183 crossover are going to be closed again for construction?
I think that's right. I got a text from them, but I kind of ignored it. But maybe that's what they were talking about.
Yep. Yeah, I think
thought
that's
it was
what's
about the
happening.
heat, what the papers are saying.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, you got to use those Google Maps every time you leave the house. You know where the traffic is backed up. Yeah. Or what's the other one? Waze, or I guess you could use Apple
Waze,
Maps.
yeah.
But
Yeah, I use Waze most of the time.
yeah. Yeah, man. Right on. Well, the only other piece of local news that I had to talk about is the music census is happening again. That they did. Well, they really did it back in 2013, and then it wasn't done until 2015, and the city's been sort of using that data ever since, but it's really all data from 2013, which is really a long time ago now. So they're doing another one, and they're spending all kinds of money on somebody to administer it, and they're passing out money to all these organizations to publicize it. You can see there. We'll put the link to it down in the show notes. But what do you guys hear about the music census?
Well, how
I've heard that.
do they get in touch with people? I mean, is it volunteer, or are they sending out emails to people that they know are musicians? Or
No, what they're doing is they're it's kind of like what they did last time. They're kind of doling out money to all the music organizations in town, not including the union, of course, which has always been a bit of the problem.
Why are they not including the union?
I don't know. We haven't heard from them. I'm assuming it's because we're like a lot of the things. We're a 501c5. We're not a 501c3, like all the nonprofit organizations. So we can't just take. I mean, even if they offered us money, we couldn't take it. Now that doesn't mean we wouldn't tell our members about it, which of course we are. But the
union can still publish a link to get to the census, right?
Oh yeah, of course, and we are. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
but we're not on the list of community partners because they can't pay us. Is the thing.
Right.
But I think they're paying all the rest of these folks. I think we don't really know, but there's a giant list of all these partners, all these different nonprofit organizations that get in touch with musicians. But there's no like master list. If you filled it out last time, they're not going to get a hold of you. You may get it in a like a newsletter from one of the other music organizations. You'll probably get it in a newsletter or on the Facebook page from the union as well. But they're not going to email you directly, is the thing. So you got to get on there. Because it closes on August 15th. It's coming up pretty quick. And then they're going to use
Is it open now?
It's open now, yeah.
Yeah.
Then they're going to use that data for like the next 10 years or something, which I guess is like a government census, right? But our business changes pretty fast. So I don't know. We'll see.
Hmm.
But of course, it's not just for musicians; it's for all the music business people. Um, and so it's really important for musicians to participate in it because the music business people have all kinds of time and resources to get this done. Whereas musicians are like, oh, I got to get to my next gig. Where am I going? Just like we are. So.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, so it is really important to get get as many musicians as we can participating in it because there are a lot of musicians, but there are probably more other folks that like that are venues and promoters and uh, yeah, producers, everything else that have the time to do this kind of thing. So they're definitely they're going to do it. So it's really important for us to do it. But yeah, did you guys do you guys remember doing it back in 2015 or 2013 or
Yeah.
whenever that was?
Yeah, I did it.
Yeah, it was a
It's the
long
first
time
I've heard
ago.
of this.
Really? Yeah,
Mhm.
they make mention of it a
You
lot on
know,
the city council.
I'm just looking this up online,
Hmm.
and it says starting June 20th, the 10 to 15-minute online census will be open for 3 weeks. So it's closed.
I don't know. Are you looking on austinmusiccensus.org?
I'm looking at the Austin Chronicle.
Oh, does that say 2013 on it? What's the date of that article?
Mm, oh, no, 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 no. This is contemporary. It's
Yeah.
May 2022, but something may have changed. But this
No,
implies that it's over.
no, it's not over. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Well,
yeah.
then maybe they extended it.
Well, I think they just didn't start it on time. I think it got pushed
Oh,
back.
oh, oh,
But it's the link is austinmusiccensus.org. Yeah, and that's where you can take it. And there's frequently asked questions and all kinds of stuff. And so, yeah,
cool.
yeah, man. So anyway, yeah, it's a good thing we talked about it. But yeah. Yeah, man. Well, we'll definitely be sending it out to the membership of the union, and we have been already. We'll put it on the Facebook page and all that stuff. But yeah. So anyway, so stand up and be counted. There you go.
Right.
All right. Well, let's move into the Federation news. This is all from the International Musician, which you may have gotten on paper. But not if you were on tour, so you might not have seen it yet. Yeah, man. But yeah, there's a bunch of articles in there, a bunch of really good contemporary articles. The Ray Harris article, he's the international president, talks about the traveling Broadway shows, and that's relevant here because I think Mean Girls starts up this coming week, and that's the first traveling Broadway show to come through Austin that's hired local musicians. So there's local musicians that are going to play on that, which is great. But not all the touring shows hire local musicians anymore. So, and it has to do with that kind of the size of the show and how long they're going to be in the city. And this article talks about kind of the history of that, of those rules, and how we're going to be, the Federation is going to be renegotiating those rules next year. So this year is kind of an opportunity for us to organize more of those theater musicians to try and get a better deal, and maybe get it so that the traveling shows have to hire more local musicians when they come through instead of not. Because there's a lot of things where they're replacing musicians, using smaller groups, and
Yeah.
smaller groups, and smaller groups. And we may get to the point where we have this giant pit at the over at the Bass Concert Hall, and there are only 3 guys down in there, or something, 3 people in there.
One guy with a laptop.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and that's exactly what they're talking about. Yeah, the computer assisted stuff. And you would think like, oh, they're not going to have a track. It's not a track. There's like these AI programs now that actually will adapt to the tempo and things. Like almost like a real musician, but not really. And yeah, so man, you guys heard from anybody that's playing that show next week?
Nope.
I heard from one person, and they were excited about it, and yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, yeah, man. So what else? The article from the International Secretary Treasurer and the international musician talks about the AFL-CIO convention that happened last month, and of course he went, and also President Hare, and also Lovey Smith Wright, who's the former president of Houston. She's always been one of the delegates to the AFL-CIO convention as well. So we've got some Texas representatives representing there. But anyway, but his article, he's talking about how they actually talked about at the AFL-CIO convention the American Music Fairness Act that we've been talking about, which is the legislation that is going to get us paid for radio play, for actually playing on recordings that get played on the radio instead of just the people who wrote the song, which we're not saying they shouldn't get paid, because they should. They do get paid already. But the people that played on the records don't get paid when things get played on the record, or on the radio, excuse me. So, yeah. So our local union, of course, wrote a big letter to Congress supporting that legislation. When was that, Russell? That was like 6 months ago or something, like 7 months ago?
It's been a while, maybe 6.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while.
But we sent it to every representative from Texas. We sent it to all the House representatives and both of the senators from Texas, just in case, because a lot of times they see Austin and they think, oh, those guys must represent all of Texas, even though we don't. But we we just let them think that. But so yeah.
Well, not to be cynical, but did we get any form letters back?
No, not yet. Yeah, oftentimes we do get something back from Cruz or Cornyn saying like, "Oh, we don't support this," but not this time. We didn't get it from them. So maybe that means we can assume they support it. I don't know. But
Let's hope so.
we know a lot of the Texas representatives do support it in the House of Representatives because they were on the hearing back in January. There was a hearing. That the House of Representatives did about this legislation, and Dave Pomeroy, the president of the Nashville Musicians Union, spoke, and who else? From Miami Sound Machine, Gloria Estefan, she spoke, and she talked about how she sang on songs that the drummer in Miami Sound Machine wrote in the 80s. And so, because she didn't actually write the songs, she never got anything from the radio play from those songs, because she was just one of the people that recorded it. And so, anyway, yeah. So, that's good stuff. You guys have anything about the American Music Fairness Act?
Is that going to be retroactive?
No. Yeah, that'd be nice, right? Yeah, man.
Question mark. That's what I was thinking. So do we get like that? Well, when does this begin?
Yeah. Well, it's got to get passed first, Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the AFM has been working on this for like 50 years, and
Yeah.
Dionne Warwick is still working on it. She was one of the ones that was working on it 50 years ago with Frank Sinatra was doing it, even though he was kind of a, I don't know, dubious union member at times. But, yeah. So God bless him. Yeah. All right. And then the other article I wanted to put in here was the article from Alfonso Pallard, who's the legislative director of the AFM. And so a lot of his activities are funded by the Tempo Fund, which is a political action committee fund that only AFM members and their families can donate to, that specializes in supporting legislation and candidates that support the music industry. But our dues alone don't do that. Our dues don't support direct lobbying because they can't by law. So that's why we have the Tempo Fund. And yeah, but he had a really great article in here. He's one of our great guiding lights in the Federation. So he talks about the PRO Act, how the PRO Act is coming back. They're talking about it again. Talks about the American Music Fairness Act. and the National Endowment for the Arts, and the National Endowment for the Humanities, which were I think were voted on last week, and the local office sent out a Facebook alert about that to like tell your senators vote for these things because a lot of things in Austin are supported by the National Endowment for the Arts. A lot of the venues, the big venues that we play at, the Moody Center and the Long Center and Brass Concert Hall and all that, are supported by that. Yeah, and then Ignacio talks about the Qualified Performing Arts Tax Parity Act, which we've been talking about at the general membership meetings, and we're just about ready to send off a letter on behalf of the membership because we voted to endorse that legislation too, and that's the tax thing that lets us get back some of those tax write-offs that we lost under the previous presidential administration nationally. We lost a bunch of tax write-offs, and so we'd like to get them back. But you guys experience any of that?
I actually have some optimism that it probably will happen.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that in my lifetime there would be no gun law changes.
Mm-hmm.
Happen.
Yeah.
So I had inkling of hope that maybe this can spark something good. I don't know.
Yeah. I agree. That things seem to be happening a little bit now, whereas they seem to have been deadlocked most of this year. But things seem to be loosening up a little, especially this week. So we'll see. Yeah. Yeah, man. Anything else about those topics, fellas?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, I had a couple of things from the larger labor movement here, from the labor newspaper called Labor Notes, one of the big articles from this month in that publication is kind of about, dare we bring it up? It's about abortion rights, and about how yes, abortion rights are a union issue, because it's a worker issue. So that can be a touchy subject, but we got to talk about it because things are happening. It's affecting people that we love, and that we know, and everything. So, things kind of slid the other way a little bit with that too. So as far as things happening this summer. So, yeah, man. You guys heard anything about that?
Well, the Supreme Court knew what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
When they leaked that information that said that somebody's breach was stolen, had that specific issue on it, they wanted to see how the public would react
Mm-hmm.
when they go ahead and pull the trigger on this.
Mm-hmm.
People were a little outraged. Nobody stormed the Capitol.
Yeah.
So they just said, this is going to work.
Yeah.
And so they did it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they thought they were going to be slick with this, but anybody that's foreign military, you know a black flag operation when you see it.
Oh, wow.
You get them look one way and they go the other way.
Uh-huh.
You hate to say that, but you don't need a bunch of people, men, making decisions about how a woman treats her body.
Mm-hmm.
Worry about your own stuff. I mean, worry about you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we're really going to know until the midterm elections what people, how people are really reacting to all this legislation and stuff, because, it's very hard to tell. Different states have different rules, and, I think when push comes to shove in the national elections, that's going to, give us or give everybody a little bit of a clue about how people are feeling about this issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's where it has to happen, because that's where it can. That's really the only place where it can make a difference nationally.
Yeah.
Now, but you're right. We don't even know. Some states are still deciding how this will affect their own laws that they already have. They have to reinterpret the laws that they already have in response to the change federally, and yeah, it's a mess. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
They were waiting for it.
Mm-hmm.
no faster than the court could march out of there.
Yeah.
Governors we already got the mandates in place. When we get the vote, go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Well, there's another article in Labor Notes. When is this from? This is from July 7th, and it's about these striking strippers in California. And that those are entertainers as well. They're not part of our union. I think they're part of the SEIU, but they were on strike as well, trying to get better wages and working conditions. And so, obviously we support them too, yeah. And this article, I mean, it starts off talking, it's kind of goofy. It talks about their picket line outside of one of the clubs. They have an actual a picket line out there. Oh man. But,
Show the video.
Right?
Yeah, right. Oh, there is a video in there. So there you go. The link is down there. You all better look at it. But
Yeah, you do have coming.
yeah, man. But it talks about what they've actually won in a couple of places. They have won better wages in several places and some safety issues and things like that. So it's for everybody. The labor movement is for everybody, and
Right.
yeah, we seeing more and more success from the Starbucks folks, and a little bit more success from the Amazon folks and John Deere and all these places. So it is for everybody, and we don't have to start a union for our business. It's already there. We already have it, and
We're already here.
Yep, and we can use it. And while you were out of town, Mark, there was a very very cool like indie rock show that was all negotiated on union contracts in town here on the 23rd of June. And they got these indie rockers got pensioned and all kinds of stuff on it, and it was great. So
Beautiful.
Yeah.
One thing I saw a lot of, and this is purely anecdotal, but being on the road so much for the last 2 or 3 months, I've seen a lot of businesses that are struggling because they cannot find workers. They cannot find staff or help.
Absolutely.
And I've talked to several business owners just kind of casually who tell me that they're really struggling and they just can't find workers to hire. And I don't understand that myself. I mean, with the population growing, you'd think that there would be always a reservoir of labor. And but it's an interesting question for the unions. I mean, are we, should we be encouraging people to go back to work? I don't know. It's obviously really, really impacting a lot of small businesses that they cannot find workers to staff their stores and their businesses.
Yeah. Well, no, you're right. But those same businesses are unwilling to raise their wages in order to attract
Even if
ones.
they do, that's the problem. Even like several people that I talked to said, yeah, we're happy to go up to the $15 an hour, but we still can't find workers. We still can't find people.
Well, but the $15 is, I mean, that's old news,
Yeah,
a lot of the retail employers are going up to $18, $25 an hour,
right.
because folks
Well,
just can't afford to live.
But your cost of living, your rent, your mortgages,
Mhm.
unless you have a fixed mortgage, but rent, all that kind of stuff, it's not keeping pace.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people see that now. They're like, well, I'm not going to go back there where I have to work 2 jobs or 3 jobs. I want more now. And I want you to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one of those things that Biden said he would take care of.
Well,
Out of his mouth came
Well,
those
it's
words.
also, I mean, again, anecdotally, but, it seems like a lot of jobs in general are much more dead-end jobs than they used to be. I mean, they're jobs that aren't ever going to go anywhere, that don't have any future. I mean, you even see this in academia, but you certainly see it in factories and, the thought that you might stay in a job for 30 or 40 years and move up the ladder, as it were, financially and in terms of status, that doesn't happen anymore.
Mhm.
So I can understand why people don't want to go work, a not very good job, thinking, well, maybe this is going to get better, because it's not.
Yeah. One, those jobs that aren't unionized, a lot of them used to be unionized. A lot of
Right.
hospitality industry jobs were unionized. All the Holiday Inns used to be
Yeah.
unionized. That's why we used to play them, right? We used to play Holiday Inns
Yeah.
lounges.
Exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, they aren't anymore. And that's the thing. I mean, those workplaces that are no longer unionized, they have no way to know. There's no mechanism for those employers to know what their employees actually want, what's actually important
Right.
to them. I mean, it's not always just
Right.
money. Sometimes it is a path to advancement, some kind of
Right.
future,
Right.
some kind of retirement, so yeah, it's we've
It
just
seems like
lost a
people
lot.
are looking for a career, not a job.
Yeah, and they're looking for, a lot of the younger generation are looking for like a work-life balance, a job that they don't have to do with their entire being, but I think they're certainly worth, they're willing to do the job while they're there, while they're, for 8 hours a day, but they don't want to have to be doing this job 16 hours a day, and,
Yeah. Yeah.
so, and neither do we, obviously, although out of musicians, we work all the time anyway. You give us 16 hours a day worth of work, we'll do it, man. But, yeah.
We're going to pay the tax tour.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Been on many of those.
Yeah, man. Jeez. All right. Well, that's all I've got on my list. Did you guys have any issues you wanted to bring up other than the heat?
Well, there's that. Oh, that heat it really is nothing to play with. I know two guys who passed out because they're fine now, but
Mm-hmm.
they got dehydrated, just toppled over.
Yeah.
Wow.
So did Carlos Santana. It happened to him too.
Yeah, that's right.
He was indoors.
I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Right. I heard that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta be careful.
You get dehydrated really fast in this weather,
Yep.
and yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Well, good to see you guys again.
Yeah, good to see you guys, man. Stay
Yeah.
hydrated, and we'll catch you. We're doing monthly now. When's the next one that we're doing? Let's say that before we go. I think it's August. It's August 29th, I think. On Monday.
Yes.
It'll
August
be a Monday.
29th at 3 o'clock.
That'll be our first Monday episode, and yeah. So I think we're going to get on this monthly schedule because everybody's getting busy, and yeah. So, all right. Well, gentlemen, it's always a pleasure to talk with you, and we'll see you, the viewers. Don't give up on the music business because it's coming back, and we can do it better than ever by unionizing and organizing and sharing information just like this. And we'll see you on the 29th on the Get Back. See ya.